as I've said, if you don't know who I am, my name is Hal. I'm a spiritual teacher. I've been doing this for well over 30 years. Master regression hypnotherapist. I've been teaching Ascension, especially the last couple of years. And if you follow me at Soul Learn, it's 2 words, Soul Learn, here on TikTok, and then the same username at YouTube. And I'll put in some links for my Facebook community as well. It's a private group. But Ascension is a private process. Ascension is something where a lot of people think it's like a destination. They think it's a place to reach. It's not necessarily a place to reach. Ascension is a spiritual transformational process. It's the process that this planet has been going through for many thousands of years, in the sense that we are highly evolved spiritual beings. We've unfortunately been trapped in this thing we call the Matrix, but that's only a part of this thing called Ascension. Ascension is a process and a journey. It's not necessarily a goal or a destination. It's not a physical location that we're going to. Ascension is growth and expansion of the soul, or the soul being, and to a place of a higher vibrational state. The normal goals that are used are, you've heard these before, 3D, 4D, 5D. Some will say D is dimension, some will say D is density, that sort of thing. It's really the left brain that requires these labels, because there's really no labels required, but it's good to have them so that our left brain can kind of reach for these different goals. And I'm going to try to explain each one of these densities and dimensions tonight. We want to keep this a little bit short, depending upon how many questions, but I'm going to try to explain all of those. So Ascension, as I've said in my other videos, go watch my other videos, is a process. It's a journey. It is not a destination. So that's the biggest misconception. People think, well, when I get there, then I'll be ascended, right? It's not like that. It's not like going to Disneyland. It's not like saying, well, I want to go to Disneyland and ride the really nice rides. And so anyone, yes, to answer your question, anyone can get to that level. It requires work, but at the same time realize the energies and the influx going on into the planet right now. Every single person, every entity on this planet is going through a process of ascension, whether they want to or not. Okay, so let me repeat that, because I just did a video about this. There's a lot of misconceptions and teachings out there where they're saying, well, a lot are going to be left behind, and a lot are not going to go there. And this, to me, in my analysis and my way of thinking about things after 30 years, this is like the Judeo-Christian concept of heaven. Okay? Ascension is not what I would put that definition on. It is heaven on earth, but we are going to create that. We are going to create that ascension. And we're going to create that by being creative, manifesting beings, just as we are always. The difference that's going on now is that from a planetary alignment standpoint, okay, ascension happens approximately every 25,600 years according to the Mayan calendar. Some will say 25,000, some will say 24,000. I just say about every 25,000 years according to the Mayan calendar. And I've seen this thing that's called, I call a cosmic clock. I've actually seen it, I've visualized it, and it looks like a gigantic clock. And the way to think of ascension is, look at my hands, everything is aligned up now. And so we're in a perfect place, time, space, energetically, for ascension to occur. The other aspect of this is that we, as prime Earth, as Terra, are actually the example. In other words, what happens here reflects out. It's like the butterfly effect. It affects other galaxies. It affects other universes, because yes, we are multi-dimensional creatures. This is why the galactics, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, all the other galactic beings are very, very, very interested in what happens here. Okay? This is how important it is. And many of you, especially if you're on this call or if you follow any of this kind of stuff, you're a light warrior, you're a light seed, which means you came here in many, many incarnations to go through this ascension process. Okay? Give me one moment. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that I have to get done here. Hold on. All right, there we go. Give me one more moment. And so we have to, thank you, Grace. I appreciate that. We have to go through this process in order to get our vibrational state higher. Okay, we've been neutered as soul beings, meaning we're only a two-strand DNA, and there's a whole story behind that I can't get into right now. I'll do a whole other live just on that, on what's going on, big picture. But needless to say, this thing that they call the matrix, it's a cubicle, sort of a trap that we've been put into. Our natural state of being is 12 strands of DNA. We're supposed to be crystalline beings. We're supposed to be divine. We're supposed to have what would be called supernatural powers, telepathy, etc. Okay, telekinesis. This is our natural birthright. So the place to get there in terms of ascension is not necessary. Thank you, Fractal. I appreciate the roses and the gifts. I'm not sure what they really mean because I've only done a few lives, but I appreciate those definitely. It helps me to boost, and then I can start doing more lives. So think of ascension as sort of a proving grounds, okay, as souls. We came here as light warriors. Whether you do something or not, and so to answer the previous questions, whether you do something or not, you are contributing, because what's happening is your physical body, your astral body, your energetic bodies, all the bodies, the being of who you are here now is like a gigantic antenna from the central sun, and it goes down through your DNA strands, and so you're actually taking in what they call the light codes. The light codes is transforming you. Again, whether you do something or not, and I'm going to get into active things you can do, but I'm giving you the basics now. So from that standpoint, you are already the blueprint. Okay, it just needs to waken up. It just needs to activate. Okay, and that's why you came here, myself included. We did thousands upon thousands of incarnations to get past the 3D level, and I'm going to talk about the different levels. The 3D level has to do with karma, has to do with repeating pain and fear and what we call soul lessons. That's essentially the 3D level, has to do with material concerns, fear, duality. I'm unto myself. In psychology, they call this primary narcissism. That's 3D. 3D is essentially, I always explain it, is you're going from a tribal, 3D, to communal, 4D, to unity consciousness, 5D. Okay, if you always keep that in your mind. So we've been trained, we trained ourselves on the other side before we came in, and we all volunteered to come here, believe it or not. And I know it's painful. I'm going through the same thing, physical symptoms, etc. We'll talk about that in a minute. So from that standpoint, we are already encoding, okay? The active process of this, and you can go back and watch some of my videos here on TikTok or YouTube, the active process, and I keep everything I teach very simple. It's not complicated. Spirituality is caught in all this complications because the left brain, the ego, the mechanistic way of thinking loves thinking. We're supposed to be operating from the heart. As you go from 3 to 4 to 5, in 5D, it's almost all pure heart. Okay? The heart is actually a thinking area, a thinking mechanism. And so when we vibrate higher and higher, again, as I've said in my other videos, hold two things: love, compassion, right? These are 5D levels, 5D states of being. And to explain it to you right now as we all sit here, because I can pinch myself, I'm physical, you're all physical watching this, right? So we're not in 5D. There's no way we're in 5D, because 5D, you're a crystalline being. Your DNA is going to be changed from carbon-based DNA to crystalline-based DNA. And you're going to vibrate at a much higher rate. So the place that most of us are in right now is 3D, 4D, 3D, 4D, 3D, 4D, 3D, 4D, in which we maybe on occasion flit into 5D in terms of consciousness and awareness. So that's the process. The process is ascending in vibration and ascending in heart and thoughts. The balance here is between the mind and feelings, heart. And it's not emotions. Emotions are energy in motion. They're a trigger. But the balancing, the way to vibrate higher is to constantly manage and monitor your thoughts and your feelings, your sensing. As you get up into 4D, there's a lot more of an emotional, cognitive process. Many of us right now are going into that in-between place in which we're mostly in 4D, and we come into 3D just to survive, say, jobs, food, that sort of shelter, that sort of thing. In 4D, we're dealing with our life lessons. We're dealing with removing karma. We're dealing with getting rid of fear. That's the biggest one, because once you get to a place of 5D, there is no more fear. There is no more duality. There is no more karma. Okay? So most of us are in this 3D, 4D state. And in 4D, most of it is removed, but 4D, like all the densities and dimensions, has a lower realm. Okay, this is another misconception. People think, well, when I get to this density and dimension, then I'm good to go. No. If you actually were to get to 5D, it would be almost impossible for you to come back down to 4D and definitely not 3D. So again, if you can pinch yourself and you're still a carbon-based being, you're doing this practice. And we're all going to go there. My whole point of all this, we're all going to go there personally and collectively. And so Ascension is that process. It's a personal process and a collective process. The big part of it is by you ascending, by you vibrating higher, by you expanding your love and compassion, you become this catalyst that then, the butterfly effect, the expansion effect, it goes out to others. And you could be living up on a mountain and it's still going to go out to others. And so if you're kind of wondering, well, am I doing this right? Am I really ascending? You'll know, because you'll start feeling more and more compassion in your heart. The things that used to trigger you less or don't trigger you at all. You're eating differently. You're sleeping differently. You're dreaming differently. You see? And so that's how you know you're going up in your vibrational frequency. Okay, your soul frequency. Again, our egos want to keep track of all this. It's really, really, really simple. It's really, really, really simple here. All it takes is managing between the mind and the heart. Okay? A lot of spiritual teachings teach everything else, chakras and all that, and chakras exist and all that. But the simplicity of what's done here, because this is me, this is how I teach it. It's simple. Manage balance. When you study the Zen masters, the Buddhist masters, people went up in the nunneries and the churches. They normally would go up on a mountain. That's to get away from the 3D material world. And then they'd go up there to do one thing. They would say, well, to get closer to God, right? The churches and stuff would say that. The Zen Buddhists and stuff would say, no, to still my mind. Okay? And that's accurate. But it's really should be to stay centered in my heart. And in all my teachings, if you go back and watch my videos, I always get into that. Breathe through the heart. Place your focus and awareness in the heart, because the heart is where the truth really is. The head, the mind, is only for creating. It's sort of the filter of what we get in the heart. And the reason as a planet we've been thinking mechanistically. We've been this soul consciousness that's mechanistic. Goes from Copernicus on. Prior to all this, we were pagan religions. We were tied to the planet. We were very much in tune with nature. All of that was heart. And that was sort of stripped away from us deliberately so that we'd be thinking creatures. Okay? You don't go up in vibration by thinking about it. The ego wants to think. That's the way we go up, but we don't. We go up through feelings and sensing and compassion and love. Okay? It can be filtered through the mind, but the mind, which is tied to ego, tied to the left brain, is really only here to keep us safe. If a tiger comes along, you better be thinking about it. Okay? If a bear comes along to attack you, you better be thinking about it. Because if you're feeling about it, you may get eaten. Okay? So, again, that part of ascension, that part of feeling yourself go higher and higher, has to do with heart. So let me read some of my notes here. The big one I get is remedies and what are the ascension symptoms. There's a whole slew of ascension symptoms, myself included. Mostly, I'll touch upon the emotional and the thinking and the physical body. The physical body, everybody reports that a lot of people are reporting that they're dizzy. They feel out of sorts. They feel very dry. They have very different appetites, very different ways of eating. They're perhaps not sleeping the same or as well. Like for myself right now, I barely sleep 4 to 5 hours and I wake up and I'm fine. My dreams have been very, very different. That's a common symptom. The reason for this is that we're expanding. Our bodies are changing. And so as they change, we're going to eat differently, think differently, feel differently, etc. We're also going through, and this is very common because I'm in a lot of other groups as well, very common, a lot of emotional upheaval right now. I did a video several weeks back because I get intuitive. I also do channelings, and I do this on my TikTok and my YouTube channels. We're going through right now what I described about 3 weeks ago, which my galactic angels described as a dip, sort of a hurdle in the road towards ascension. And this dip, and we see it on the news, right? So our external world validates it. This dip that we're going through is sort of a retesting of our dark night of the soul. In other words, we've all been doing a lot of work over the years to get rid of our junk, right? And at this point now, we're at a certain elevation, we're at a certain point, and so we're dropping back, so to speak, to be sort of retested to make sure, all that stuff is off of me. That's the state we're in right now as I'm recording this, and there's several others who channel have validated that. They've said the same thing, so I take that as truth. So emotionally, there's an enormous amount of upheaval going on. There's also a shifting of those around us because they may be in different states and different vibrations, different timelines is the word. And so they're experiencing this thing where they're first waking up, because waking up, awakening, is the first stage of ascension. Once you're awakened, then you're much more aware of what's happening. So that's emotional. You're going to be going through a lot of that. The best way to deal with emotions is realize two things. Number one, you are not your emotions, so don't identify with. If you're saying, oh, I'm sad, the second you say I am, fill in the blank, then you've taken it on. Instead say, I'm feeling sad. Oh, this sad is not mine. And it may not be yours. If you're an empath like I am, I pick up a lot of gunk around me. So that sad could be what you're picking up from the collective. Or it might be yours, okay? But again, the way to deal with the emotions is to say to yourself, okay, I'm aware of it, and then don't block it. This is the key. Don't hold it in, or don't try to slough it off through force. Allow yourself to go through it. Emotions are energy in motion. So you have to emote out. Emotions are an outward energy. Feelings are a sensing incoming energy. So feelings is what we deal with in the heart, and there's a mix-up between the two for most people. Emotions is just a reminder of what we're feeling and thinking and going through. So if we feel an emotion, the first thing you should do is snap out of it and say, okay, whoa, let me identify this. Is this mine? Well, a part of this is mine because I'm feeling such and such from when I was a kid, right? And my parents used to do such and such. Or my bigger brother or bigger sister used to do such and such. So you're feeling it. That's, again, a reminder. Feel it, identify it, embrace it, allow it to pass through you. If you have to cry, cry. You have to scream, scream. If you have to go for a run, go for a run. Being physical of some sort usually helps release that emotion. And then a day or two later or a few hours after, you can go back and examine it and say, I wonder what that meant. Okay, I understand now what that meant. So emotionally, we're going through a lot of that. Again, there's other outside forces. There's the Schumann resonance and things like that, which are physically impacting us and going through us as we're going through this ascension period. That will also emotionally trigger us. Okay? So that's the emotions. Astrally, that has to do with dreams. Our astral body is kind of all over the place. Normally in dreams, that's when we astral travel, whether you practice astral traveling or not. I've been doing it for years. I can consciously remote view. I can consciously send my astral wherever I want to. I can lucid dream. I've taught lucid dreaming where you're aware of that you're dreaming and you change your dream. So astrally, though, we're all going through that as well because, again, our bodies, which I like to call levels, so you have your different bodies, your different levels. Astrally, we're changing there as well. And so you're going to find dreams don't have the same meaning. Dreams don't have the same frequency. Dreams don't have the same order that they used to, things like that. You need to still be aware of your dreams, but be okay with these changes. For the physical, so let's get into that. So dizziness, nausea, headaches, vision problems. Like right now I'm having vision problems in both my eyes. A lot of blurriness, what they would call cataracts in one eye, but it's just, I know a lot of this is from Ascension as well. Weakness, like a lot of tiredness, or tons of energy. It seems to be one way or the other. Two things I want to say is listen to your body. Do not ignore your body right now. Listen to your body. The first thing I recommend for everyone, and I'm guilty of this as well, is drink, 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 drink. Drink lots of good quality water, because our bodies are literally sort of being dehydrated. Think about it. We have this, the central sun energies coming through us. This dries the body out, okay, no matter who you are. So drink plenty of fluids. Drink, take in certain oils like omega-3s, coconut oil, things like that to keep the body moist. Okay, it's very important. Salt baths are very, very good remedy for ascension symptoms. And salt baths are, Epsom salt like you get at the drugstore. The trick I learned a few years back is take baking soda, so about a half cup baking soda, maybe some essential oils, whatever smells good for you. The baking soda basically balances out the pH levels, so it's not just pure salt. It'll have a much more benefit for you. You can also put crystals in with the bath with you. Excuse me, and that will help energize things as well for you. And that's also a good way to do that. The other thing is to try to, depending upon the weather, try to get out in nature as much as possible. Bare feet in the grass is great if you can do it. If you have an ocean near you, lake, river, dunk your feet in that. All of these things ground us. So that's my second point I wanted to bring up is stay grounded. Stay grounded, stay grounded. Grounded is a variety. It's a physical, like I just mentioned, but it's also mental and feelings, okay? The best way to ground yourself in all of those is to just sit for a few seconds. You can do a little gong thing, like that, right? Doesn't even have to be long, a 5-minute meditation. Close your eyes, and you can center. You can put your hands on the center of your being. The center of your being is usually below your rib cage, below the sternum area. And just focus and just say, I am grounded. Feet flat on the ground, usually in a chair like this. Most Westerners are not used to the cross-leg position on the floor, but you can do it that way if that's comfortable for you. And ground. I try to ground at least 3 times a day, because right now with all the energies coming in, it's extremely important to be grounded. So the physical symptoms, again, monitor your body. Listen to your body. If your body doesn't feel like eating, don't eat. I eat barely 2 meals a day now. I used to eat 3 meals plus snacks and all that. Don't do that. Listen to your body. If your body says don't eat meat, not for vegetarian reasons or whatever, then don't eat meat. If your body says don't eat broccoli, don't eat broccoli. Okay, listen to your body. And you can do some of the things. Plenty of sunshine if you have sunshine, and like that. And again, grounding. Emotionally, again, try to keep yourself grounded. Try not to go off on a lot of emotional tangents. Again, use the exercises I'm talking about. Realize emotions are really not yours. This is basic psychology, by the way. This is not even ascension. Basic psychology, this is how it's taught. My master's is in psychology. You never want to get into the emotions. It's like this. It's like this whirlwind, like I'm showing with my hands. And people who dwell on their emotions is just like this, and sometimes it's like this, it's very fast. And the best way to rid yourself of that is to realize that emotions are not yours. They're yours in the sense that they impact you, but they're not a part of you. They're not like some scab on you, okay? Emotions are meant to be gone through, and emotions are just a reminder. So that's the physical part of it, the mental part of it, the astral part of it. The energetic part of it, I still give the same advice: salt baths and grounding and plenty of fluids. Energetically, what I would like to say in a conclusion to all this is an allowing process, my dear brothers and sisters. It's an allowing process. The ascension process is like a stream. I've mentioned this in many of my other videos on TikTok. It's like there's this enormous sort of, almost like a hurricane, like a storm of energies coming through us, through Gaia, right? through our crown. And to go against it, which is resistance, which is not allowing, is like going against a stream, a very, very strong stream. It will work against you, okay? Allow it. Be okay with it. Obviously, if you have some physical symptoms that you feel you requires a doctor or a medical professional, please, go see one. But also just realize that a lot of people are going through a lot of the things I just mentioned. And so allow your body and your bodies to change, because it's going to be more coming up as we move along. So that would be that part of it. So again, going back to the biggest questions that I do get is, how do I know when I get there, right? How do I know that I'm doing the right thing? Again, as I said in the beginning of this, there is no really getting there. It is not a destination. It is more of a process and a journey. And again, if you're still here physically, then it would be highly doubtful that you're, quote, vibrating at 5D. 5D is something where you're in a space where you feel one with all. So again, we're going from tribal, right? That's 3D, 2D, where you only think about yourself, you and yours, right? You and your family, you and your friends, you and your coworkers, materialistic, a lot of fear, etc. And we're going to 4D, 5D. 4D, we start feeling collective. We start feeling that, hey, the outside world is not influencing me. I'm the creator. I'm the inner guide. And so ascension is an inner process. That's why I stress when I teach this, when I do individual sessions, which I do, and I'll put some links in here for that. I always stress to the person to be their own creator. You have to stop the victim mentality, or the mentality of, oh, the outside world is what impacts me. Oh, I only believe it when I see it. No, it's the opposite. I teach a manifesting class. You have to believe it first, and then your outside world will reflect it. That's 4D. When you reach 5D, you fully accept universal laws. You fully accept that you are the creator here. You have nothing but love and compassion in your heart. You feel part of all that is all, right? There's no doubts. You feel comfortable. You feel calm, right? There is no doubting this. There is no duality. That's 5D. We're all going to create that. So the second biggest question I get is, well, what does 5D look like? What's it going to be? That's an unanswered question, because we all have what we call different timelines. I've peeked at it. Through a process, because I'm a regression hypnotherapist. I have over 3,000 hours. I can put myself in trance very quickly. So I've gone there, and even for me, and I've been practicing for a lot of years, for me it's hard to kind of even peek at it, because it requires such a state. And I've peeked at it, and it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's heavenly, right? It's going to be different for each person. Just like now, where you're at right now is different. You say, well, no, I'm not. I'm in such and such city, and I can see the street block. No. Everybody experiences their own perspective of what they call real, based upon their perceived idea of reality. It's no different as you move up, okay? But again, we're all going to create this. It eventually will be a destination. It'll be a planet. It'll be a location, right? It'll eventually be that. But the process is individual to move the whole. See? And that's the biggest misconception. There's a lot of teachings out there that talk about, being saved. Like some great ark is going to come and save us. I think that's complete malarkey. There's not going to be some great ark. The galactics are out there, and there's a whole thing. I can teach 2 hours on what the galactics are doing. They're not here to save us. I'm sorry to tell this to everybody. They're not here to save us. We don't need saving. If you feel you need saving, then you're still in victim mentality. See? You're still not in I am the creator. I am the creator is 4D, 5D. I am the creator means you take 110% responsibility for your reality, your creation, because you are the creator. If you could feel what I feel, when I'll talk to somebody even online and virtual, I feel the immense, enormous power that each and every one of you has. It's insane, the amount of power, how powerful you are. It's insane. Okay? That's the place that we're ascending to. to get to that state of being where you can feel that, where you can see that, where you can recognize that, where you can be that. That's ascension, okay? And once we get there, just like we've created this world, you see, because again, I take 100% responsibility, and we've created this world with both dark and light. We've done that, okay? But once we get to that place, we're going to create that. And so you create heaven in earth in yourself, and that creates heaven on earth in 5D. Okay. So I want to sort of end it there. I didn't want this to go too long. I'll do another one of these soon, so don't worry. The two things I wanted to talk about, I'm starting a membership site in which you can have a lot more personal access to me, meaning it'll be a private chat group, because I know in TikTok, YouTube, and everything else, there's a lot of chatter that goes on. So I'll be starting a private group. Just go to my website, Soul Learn. So it's two words like soul and like learning, soullearn.com/member. And sign up. I'm putting together a wait list. I'll have the membership site up probably in about another week. And I'll have very affordable memberships where you can get in. You can have personal access to me. I'll be doing probably 1 hour sessions in the membership area. And in the 1 hour, I'll also do a guided meditation, things to help you get your vibration higher, that sort of thing. And then I'll do a little bit of lecture at the beginning and a lot of experiential as well, and then questions and answers. So you have a lot more private access to me. And I'll probably have 2 tiers, like a VIP tier and the regular tier. But right now I want to try to answer any questions that I have coming in. I see a bunch coming in. Let's see here if I can scroll. Hold on, please. Yeah. Thank you for this. You're very welcome. And I notice each and every one of you, okay? You are noticed. That's the other thing I did want to touch on very quickly. Let me get out of this. Hold on, please. I did want to touch on the other part of all this that goes into the emotions and the thinking as well as many, many, many people feeling alone, right? This is common. And it's very common for a couple of reasons. It's common because, number one, the spiritual journey is a very lonely journey. This is why in the very olden times they went up on a mountain deliberately. First of all, to vibrationally get out of all the gunk, right? Because up on a mountain the vibration is very different. So they did that deliberately. But even then it was lonely. If you were up there in a monastery, you had other members of the monastery or the church or what have you, and you went down into the village just to get supplies, okay? And many times it was the person who was supposed to get supplies that went up there. So it is a very lonely journey, but you are never, ever alone. Ever. It is physically, spiritually, psychically, energetically impossible for you to be alone. Let me re-stress this because I really, really want to get this point across. You are never, ever alone. The reason you're not alone is because, first of all, we have galactics or angels that are watching over us and are guiding us to an extent that they're allowed. That's number one. Number two is, once you get, again, see, to this 4D, 5D state, you start to get into this unity consciousness. I've felt it ever since I was a child. So I never liked sports because it was competitive. It was dividing to me. We are all one. We are all one. Feel this with your heart. Feel this. We are all one. So how can you possibly be alone? You're not. You're not alone. You're experiencing, based upon your perception of your outside reality, this feeling of being alone. But you're never alone. And you're a minority, I'll put it that way, in the sense that there's fewer of us doing this work than there are of what we perceive to be not doing this work. But you carry 1,000 times, if not 10,000 times more power to impact the collective than those who are not doing this work. I want to stress that again. My guru back in 1990, when I was first studying this stuff, taught me this. As spiritual star seeds, star workers, star warriors, whatever word you want to use, as that type of being, watching this sort of thing and studying what you study, you have 10,000 times more power to create and manifest. Okay? So you are on the leading edge, as Abraham Hicks likes to say. You're on the leading edge. So you're very powerful. You have an enormous amount of power. So you're alone in a very exclusive club, but you're never really truly alone. All of us are connected. We are all one. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? You're very welcome. Venomous, you're very welcome. Let me check my Facebook real quick, see if there's any further questions. And if not, I'm going to go ahead and end this. And give me one more moment. Let's see. Again, if you want private access to me, if you're on TikTok, the way to hit my bio is up on the right-hand corner. You'll see my more casual picture. If you tap that, that brings you to a bio, and then there's a link. A lot of people don't know this. There's a link underneath my picture and description that says beacons.ai. That brings up a menu, and you can do a private session with me in which I can channel for you. I can channel your guides for you, your higher self, and help you along your way. Or the membership will be started probably in about another week again at soullearn.com/member, soullearn.com/member, and sign up for the waiting list. All it requires is just your name and your email. I don't spam you. I don't send out a lot of newsletters. I send out newsletter stuff maybe a couple times a week, and that's it. And then I want to see if there's any further questions. Okay, I don't see any. Let me try one more location. If not, I'm going to go ahead and end this for now. And if you guys have any questions, let me scroll down real quick. Agree 100%. I've been told the same thing in the last couple of days. Excellent. Thank you so much for that validation. I appreciate it. And any last questions before I end this, because I didn't want to keep this more than about 30 minutes. And I'll try to put up a recording in my Facebook group as well. If you go to my TikTok as well, there's a way to get into my private Facebook group. It's real easy. You just click, hey, I want to join, and then it asks you like one question, and then you're in. I'll put a link here in the recording, both in YouTube and TikTok, to join my private Facebook as well as the membership, okay? And let's see. Any further questions? Let's see. All right. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time. Again, my handle soullearn.com. I put out videos a couple times a week if you want to learn some more. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and end this for now. I appreciate you all coming. I love each and every one of you so very much. You are incredibly, incredibly powerful, okay? So please remember that and understand that, and just hold love and compassion in your heart, and you do the balance between your thinking and your feeling, and we'll all go along and get through this just fine. And remember that everyone is sort of counting on us, because it is our process to go through, and this comes along about once every 25,000 years, so it's a good opportune time to do it, okay? Thank you so much, everyone. I'll catch you later, and I'll go ahead and end this for now. Thank you so much.